Happy Tuesday. Just going to give everybody a minute to join me here. Almost 4. Okay. There we are. So for those of you that are joining me today, thank you. I'm going to get rambling here. So I see in your posts all the time, you talk too much. I just want to, hang on. I'm not as good on my iPad as I am on other things. Okay. There. So I do have to mention that it is a sale, and it is 30% off site-wide with Life Pro. It's early Black Friday. So in honor of Black Friday, I'm wearing my favorite t-shirt. Coffee does save lives. It certainly saves mine in the morning. So today is the first of 3 coming up over the next 3 Tuesdays where I work out more and talk less. So instead of trying to educate the heck out of you every time that I do a session, I'm certainly going to cover some tips, but we're going to get right to it. And today is a 5-move total body workout. We're going to progress over the next 2 weeks, assuming everybody today joining me can stand on their own 2 feet and have some range of motion. We're going to do some standing exercises. We're going to get down on the ground and do some upper body push-up-y type stuff. We're going to do 5 moves, ideally a minute a piece. Where does the 10-minute workout come in? Well, if you are in better shape, if you'd like to push yourself a little further, if you've got goals like weight loss, toning, you're trying to get strong, and you want to do another rep, I suggest doing what exercises I'm going through today in the form of a circuit. So if you like everything that I'm doing today and you want to push yourself and make it a bit of a longer workout, you can do 2 things. You can make each rep longer. So we're doing 5 moves of 1 to 2 minutes, or you can do 5 moves twice. So 30 seconds to a minute. Maybe you're dealing with fatigue, you're just building things up, but you'd like to push yourself or certain body parts. Adding a second rep is a great way to keep it simple, purposeful, and you don't have to learn a whole bunch of new exotic moves every time. So 5 moves. I suggested today, if you are at a starting point, you fatigue easily, the balance isn't great, you may want to have a chair. I'm not going to be doing any seated exercises today, but we will be pushing you a little bit today. So if you do want a little bit of a safety net, let's call it, a chair, a bar height stool, where you're sitting at a 90-degree or slightly higher with your feet on the plate. If you do want to take a break, you can take a seat, keep the feet moving, have a little rest recovery period. For those of you that are joining me, you're in a better place as far as conditioning. Today is certainly beginner, but beginner in the exercises are simple. Any of these exercises, you can push yourself a little further and make them more challenging. I'm working on the Rumblex 4D Plus, but all of my sessions are in the primary movement, which is oscillating. Oscillating is that low, mimics walking movement. And on most models, if you hit the play button, it's the default setting. It's the one that moves like this, and that's what we're going to be working with today. I would encourage, we're working with a foot placement of about hip width apart. So for most of you, that's going to be the mid marker on your plate. And I want you at a mid speed range. So on my Rumblex, I have 60 speeds. I'm doing my exercises at 30. If your plate has 100 speeds, you want to be in the 40 to 50 range. So somewhere in the middle with closer feet versus wide and more action with a slower speed. So the first exercise we're going to do is a little bit of a warm-up. Want to loosen things up before we get to some of the mean stuff. My favorite way to warm up is a pelvic tilt. The better your range in the hips and the low back, the better the following exercises are going to be. So perhaps with your breathing, maybe you're timing to some music. Wait a minute. I have more lights. There. Okay. So really slow. We're clenching those butt cheeks, tilting backwards, loosening things up. Okay. Knees are slightly bent. We're not so tall that it's hitting us in the head, but the knees are bent enough that we're feeling it really not beyond kind of the collarbone and the shoulders. Okay. If you want to do little circles, whatever feels good to loosen the core. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to place our hands on our hips, and we're going to just do some slight torso twists. So same basic position. We're going to turn to the left, and I want you to extend your arm like you're reaching back for a friend. And come this way. Just want to work that range of motion. Should feel a nice stretch. Try and keep this arm nice and straight. Level with the ground. I'm only moving at the waist. I'm not turning around with my legs completely. Try and keep your base position and just turn at the hips. And reach back. Woo. So any variation of what I just did for about a minute is going to serve as a good warm-up. We've got some lymph, some circulation going. Now let's get to some work. The first thing we're going to do is some weight shifts. So we're going to be doing kind of almost what's called a pistol or a one-legged squat, where we're going to shift our weight to one side and the other. But we're going to look more like this. I'm going to have you shift your weight, come down slowly, hold, 2, 3, back up. We're going to shift the other side, down, hold, 2, 3. So the weight, the majority of the weight is on the supporting leg. Think of your opposite leg as the rudder to just help keep you stable. This is a great one for those of you that want to target one side. Perhaps you're dealing with some balance issues. So on the machine, same setting, mid-speed and oscillating. We're going to bend to about a mid-squat. We're going to shift our weight over. Hold, 2, 3. Oh, other side. Down. Hold, 2, 3. Up. Shift. Hold, 2, 3. If you really want to commit, the leg that's not supporting the weight, you could come up onto the toe. It pushes the balance a little bit more. Make sure you got nice engaged core. Shoulders are back. Up. Shift over. Stand back down. I'm up on the toe on the opposite leg, the one that's just giving me balance. Want to make sure your heel is planted and that knee is not passing your toes. Stand back up. Feel free, if you're doing these type of exercises and you want more challenge, weight up. Add some hand weights. Add the barbells, the dumbbells, the weight vests, whatever it is that you have. We're pushing for a minute on all of these exercises today. One last one on the left side. If you've got a weak side you're trying to target or build up or recover from, you may want to do a couple of additional reps on that side or add something like that to your existing routine. The next one we're going to do is a little bit more heart, getting that heart rate up, getting the blood flowing. We're going to do some step ups. Now, depending on your balance, your stability, your level of conditioning, we're stepping up in a natural movement of hip width apart, about the midpoint on our plate. We're going to step up, both feet, knees are slightly bent. We're going to step back down. Okay. This is slow. If you are lacking stability, you need a little something to hang on to, feel free to do this on a wall or perhaps put a chair in front of you just to give some, for the fingertips to give you a little bit of reassurance. If you are in better shape, this is boring, you want to pick it up more, double time it. This is a good one if you want to get some music going and step up to the beat. If you want to, I would love to encourage more movement by adding some arm swings. I did this in the session a couple weeks ago where I used some of the Life Pro dumbbells. Great way to start building some upper body strength where maybe range of motion limits you from getting down on the ground. which we're going to progress to in our next exercises. But this one, about a minute on this, keeping a good pace. If you're in really good shape and the balance, there's a million variations of these. Maybe we're bringing up the legs. Maybe we're just doing this on the platform. Whatever you feel more comfortable with. I want movement. We're going to get that lymph going. Okay, the next variation, we're topping each of these out at about a minute, is a push-up. If you don't do lots of push-ups now, on the ground, on the machine, don't make it the hardest push-up you've ever done. Get used to some good technique. See where the vibration is gonna hit you in the upper body. Learn what your comfort zones are as far as intensity. I recommend same thing, bringing the hands closer together. First tip with upper body, if you haven't watched one of my upper body sessions, is your weight distribution. Hands on the plate. I want you starting out on your knees. For those of you that can do push-ups on your toes, we'll get there. We're going to push the shoulders over the hands, not the head. If your head is directly over your hands, you're getting the most head shake. Push your body forward. It's not harmful, but it's not totally comfortable. So the shoulders are comfortably over the hands. We're engaging our core. If you're just starting out, this is probably a good starting point. 5-10 seconds of this is a good warm-up just to get some lymph and some circulation going. For those of you that have more ability, yes, come to the toes. Engage that core. Make sure that you're breathing. Elbows are slightly bent. If you want to target the triceps, as every woman does, simple variation from your push-up where you're looking in a position like this. Draw those elbows in towards your rib cage. So exact same exercise. Hands are shoulder width apart. Shoulders are over the hands. But this time we're going to draw the elbows in. And you're going to feel the triceps are holding you up. Really easy way to target and tone that area without having to commit to a tricep dip or something that might be a little bit more strenuous on the shoulders and your range of motion. For those of you that have got game, yes, you can go to toes. Make sure you're breathing. This one's more challenging. And it doesn't mean you can't do a combination of being on the knees and on the toes. You know, push yourself within reason. Okay? A minute on that one as well. If you want to add the variation and call that another rep, I like to do about 30 seconds each on that one. So the next one we're going to go to is our final position, which is the king of squats, which is the king's pose. So yes, we have to do a squat. The squat is, if you're going to learn any move and do it well on a vibration plate, it's a squat. It's good for anything from weight loss to bone density to balance to everything you've ever heard about vibration machines or exercise. A squat is one of those exercises that challenges more muscle groups, and those big muscle groups, those big muscle groups in the lower legs, because that's where we target. The bigger muscle groups are going to burn more calories. They're going to boost our metabolism. They're going to make us strong getting up out of that chair. If you are not familiar with the king's pose, we're simply going to take our arms, cross them in a nice straight line in front of us. This adds a little bit more body weight in a different way. It challenges your core differently. It's going to challenge your balance and your stability. This one, ideally, you should be dying within a minute. If you're not dying within a minute, you need to make it more challenging. Maybe dynamic movement. Maybe you're adding some mass. Okay, I want you guys, whatever the squat is for you, as far as your range of motion and level conditioning, I'd love to see you fatiguing within a minute on each of these poses. So modify accordingly to challenge yourself and make sure that you're putting forth effort. If you're just going through the motions and you're doing the same setting, you're not going to see the results long term. Ideally, you know, with exercises like this, you don't need to necessarily change up the exercises all the time, but you can change up your settings just to present a little bit more challenge to what you're doing. So as I said at the beginning of this, if you're not feeling fatigued, if you're pushing for other goals like weight loss, you know, this is the only workout you're doing today, your conditioning's a little bit better and you want more, do another rep. So I'm not going to do a full 1 minute rep on each, but I will quickly recap the exercises. We started out at a mid-speed in oscillating movement. My machine is 60. I'm on the Rumblex Plus model today. So I'm setting my machine at 30. I started with some pelvic tilts, loosen things up. We moved into some torso twists. Okay. Then we moved to some weight shifts where we were pushing our weight onto one thigh or one side. Come up on the toe for a little more challenge. Step down. A single leg squat or a pistol, some may call this. Keeping your opposite foot on the plate just helps with some balance and some stability. Okay. The next ones we progressed into, were step ups. So depending on your current range of motion, conditioning, we want to get a little cardio in. There's a million. I add arms. Just get things moving. Whatever feels good. Okay? Minute on that one. Then we moved into some upper body. We began on our knees, especially for those of you that are just beginning upper body exercises. Tip, keep those shoulders over the hands, not the head, to reduce the head vibration. And keep your hands in a mid position. Don't go as wide as possible. To target the triceps, we're going to pull those elbows in against the rib cage. And for those of you that are more conditioned, feel free to make your positions more challenging by adding more body mass. Okay? The very last one we did was a king squat, king's pose. I always think of Fiddler on the Roof when I do this movie. For those of you that identify this, if you want more challenge, add some movement or some weight. Keep it simple. The hardest part about getting the results long term is getting consistent with using your plate. And consistency is what's going to win the race in the long run. And I find with most of the people I work with and myself personally, if I can keep those exercises simple and effective and be good at the moves that I'm doing and the technique is there and know how to evolve within those poses, it's more consistent. Instead of 15, 20 moves coming at me and it just looks like work. So that is my biggest tip that I can give you, is to keep it simple, be realistic, and ensure that you're aligning appropriate exercises and level of effort with your goals. So I hope that enlightens you. And I know, like I say, many of you were looking for less talking, more working out. So I would like to invite, if anybody does have questions, specifically to today's workout, maybe something that you're working on, absolutely now is the time I invite those. As I said, there is an early Black Friday day sale with Life Pro Direct going on, not on Amazon, but Life Pro, the company, direct in the US. I've placed a link and it's 30% off plus a free gift with every purchase. So start shopping. I know many of you reached out to me after the Prime Day sales because you were humming and hawing and weren't sure. So act while supplies last is the only advice that I can give you if you're looking at something. Cindy Brown says, thank you. The exercise tips were very helpful. I hope they're motivating too. Sometimes I know we beat ourselves up. Oh, I didn't do my workout. I really hope to illustrate with these sessions over the next few weeks that it doesn't have to be this big half hour to an hour commitment out of your day. And if you're post 40, like me, post 50 now, and you are looking at losing weight, toning, keeping the weight off, keeping those bones strong, I like doing my exercise early in the day, elevates that metabolism. So, it kind of helps me throughout the course of my day. And I might do one or two of these moves throughout the course of the day just to boost my energy, get some lymph and some blood glowing. It's getting into that time of year. We have, I'm sad to say, about 6 inches of snow on the ground here, just north of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And I'm going to be doing some snow shoveling. So I'll tell you, I know that my back isn't conditioned for that yet. So there's things the trainer needs to pay attention to. And sometimes some of my exercises are seasonal for that reason. So I got to give the back some more attention. Anything you'd like to add to today, if you wanted to do some massage or some stretching, today is certainly something that you could do daily. It's short, it's sweet. And if you did want to extend it, like I say, a good way to do it is to repeat the exercises and do another round of them. So ideally everything about a minute today. I'm all about oscillating movement. It is the primary movement of these machines. If you're working on a model that has other movements, pulsation, which is a mild form of lineal vibration, vertical vibration, there is also lateral. Any of these exercises are universal. The reason I like to do a lot of my sessions in oscillating is it's the one movement that all of Life Pro's models have that you can, so you can all join me. It is the most functional, especially if you're dealing with chronic issues, and it's been around the longest, and it's got the most science. So you're always in control with your foot or your hand placement. So there's just a little bit more coaching, a few things to understand on the setting sides, where you can manipulate the settings to make any of these exercises more challenging or more tolerable, depending on where you are personally at. Cindy says, look forward to seeing you again. This was fun. Thank you for joining me, Cindy. Anyone else? I will be here same time next week. Next week's going to be a little more on the intermediate to advanced. It'll be a progression of what I did today, 5 moves. That can be a 5 or a 10-minute workout, as you've learned today. Same time next week, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. There is always a recording. And if you have any questions out of today's session or any going forward, something you'd like me to talk about specifically or a concern that you may have, tag me at Debby with a Y. Sometimes the comments get going, and if you don't tag me, I don't always get the notification because I get quite a few in a day. So feel free to tag me with any questions you may have if you're watching this on a recorded basis, or maybe I just rambled too much at the end and you lost your train of thought. I hope today was fun. I look forward to more working out and less talking again next Tuesday, intermediate to advanced. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend.